Welcome everybody to Viada's Tiny House Village and a Wednesday night edition of Vegetable Soup for Women. Thank you for joining me this evening all over the world. Bonjour, bonsoir, whatever time of day it is. Welcome. And we're here in the village to talk about women and their relationship with their adult daughters. And this came up in a discussion shortly after last week's Wednesday edition that I invited one of the women who was in this very conflicting relationship with her adult daughter to come on and talk about it. But, however, she can't be with us tonight. But in the near future, we might have this discussion with that mother. But in the meantime, I'm continuing this discussion about vegetable soup for women. And tonight we're just going to dig into what is going on with mothers and their adult children. But let's first welcome the Tiny House Village in. So come on in to the village, to my tiny house. We welcome you. Now, if you've been with us the last couple of weeks on Wednesday night, we've been introducing Vegetable Soup for Women, the new book that has been put together by 8 authors. Amazing. I read the whole book the other evening. I was so blessed. I was humbled too, because I'm one of the authors in this book, but the other 7 authors were just such a blessing for me. At my age of 70, I was reading information, experiences, stories from people who were younger than myself, but they had some powerful energy to share in this book. So we are about 95% complete on this book and all that needs to be done, the Facebook page, the website. But I'm just saying, I have been just so blessed to read all the stories firsthand and to know that I believe anyone who picks up this book will be thoroughly inspired and motivated to improve and grow and all sorts of things. So every week I'm committed to take time out on Wednesdays to talk about vegetable soup for women, nourishment for women. There's an old saying that says, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. Now, I don't know how much truth that is to that story. I don't know how legitimate that phrase is. I don't even know how healthy that phrase is. I had someone send me some videos about or some critiques on that phrase. If mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. And it was quite legitimate critique on if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. Because of course, it gets into emotional intelligence when you think that's a true statement. But however, this is how some people think because of what? Narcissism and relationships that have never been nurtured. Okay. So that's what we want to talk about tonight. And I found a really good TED talk on a strained mother daughter relationship and how that relationship changed. But in the meantime, if you're here tonight, feel free to write comments in the chat and give us your story, because it's this the purpose of this Wednesday night show is to nourish the women and their relationships. And of course, those relationships include children, both young and older, but tonight especially, and it includes men, of course, and with other women, female friends, BFFs. It includes all of that. So every Wednesday, we're going to come together here in the village and share our stories, share our wisdom, share our experiences so that we can get a healthier female population that will, in turn, I believe, bring our men into a healthier relationship as well. Because once we get the women healed, healthy, and strong, I think they're going to be more giving, more loving to their partners, to their friends, to their children. So we're just starting with the female body first, female mind and soul first. So I want to share with you this talk, TED Talk, from Strained to Strength, I believe it's called. And I want us to just take in one woman's story as something that happens globally. Now, the story I heard from a friend last week was maybe a little different from what you're going to hear. But the story last week was more about a woman, two grown women, mother and daughter, who can't get along for various reasons. Boundaries not being set, emotional intelligence lacking, narcissism, you name it. All these things come up when there's a problem or conflict in a relationship of any kind, right? So we just want to examine it tonight and bring some healing energy to any type of relationship that you are stressed about, because there's just so much stress right now over so many things that my job is to bring the healing energy, the peaceful energy, the shalom energy. And that's what we're going to do for the next maybe 45 minutes or so. It won't be a long show unless we have some callers or comments from our listeners that we want to address or respond to. But for now, let's listen to this one talk that I found to be very interesting and very indicative of what is going on in a lot of our families and relationships these days. That we have so many moms and adult children, adult daughters in this case, that are needing healing and reviving and so much more. Okay. So this is from Strained to Strong, mother-daughter relationships.
How many of you are mothers? Mothers and their adult daughters have an incredible bond. This bond has withstood the test of time, spanning cultures, generations, and defying our expectations at every turn. But what if I told you that this incredible bond was not just an emotional connection, it's one that influences how a woman sees herself, her self worth, her overall well being, and her place in this world. As a woman who comes from a long line of strong and resilient women, I can attest that this bond is more powerful than we may ever have imagined. This bond between mothers and daughters is incredible. And on today, I want to explore with you some of the relationships between mothers and daughters, some of its health benefits, and this incredible bond. Mothers and daughters are not only unique, but they are special. And men, this is something for you to know too. As a mother of two adult children, a son and a daughter, whom I both love, but my relationship with my daughter is different than it is with my relationship with my son. And men, your relationship with your daughters is different than your relationship with your sons too. Mothers have this unique way of seeing into the souls of their daughters. They seem to know their daughters' thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, and sometimes even their actions before their daughters reveal them. There's a study done in 2016 in the Journal of Neuroscience, and that journal looked at this parent-child bond between mothers and daughters. And they found something very interesting. So I want to share with you about this relationship between mothers and daughters. And then I want to share with you the health benefits. And then thirdly, I want to share with you about this incredible bond. What this study found related to mothers and daughters is that mothers and daughters share this unique brain chemistry. And their brain chemistry is what enables them to have an empathetic understanding of one another, unlike any other parent-child relationship. And the study found that even though there's other relationships and their foundations are built on love, but the connection that mothers and daughters have because of how they process their emotions allows them to connect in ways like nobody else. However, the same things that bring them together can also be the same things that pull them apart and sometimes even have them clash. Well, I can recall having some of those kinds of experiences with my own mother. As a high schooler, junior high school student, I had dreams. I had goals. I had a plan. And planning for graduation, moving into my senior year, thought about going to college. My grades weren't exactly college material, but it was my plan and my dream. But my mother and one of her brothers, I had two uncles that both served in the Army, they developed this plan for me, and they thought it would be a good idea for me to join the Army. So my mother and my uncle got together, had the recruiter come to our home, and we're all sitting down at the table, and I'm sitting there as they talk about this plan for my life. And I said nothing. the whole time. My mother spoke, my uncle spoke, the recruiter spoke, and I stayed silent. I joined the Army after graduating from high school, but I was angry and I was resentful because I felt like my mother did not consider my feelings, that she didn't understand what I wanted to do. She didn't even give me a chance, didn't even see if I could make it in college. Didn't turn out too bad. I retired from the Army Reserve after having served on active duty for 9.5 years, stayed in the reserves, and then retired after 28 years of service. So I guess she kind of had some idea about what would have been helpful for me, but I stayed angry and resentful with her for a very long time. I ended up being my mother's caregiver at the end of her life. And what I found was the very things again that can bring you together, pull you apart, and sometimes even have you clash are also the very same things that bond you together. So there is no perfect mother and daughter relationship. But mothers and daughters have a unique way of interacting and relating with one another. And studies and research have found that when there's a good mother-daughter relationship, there's good health benefits too. So I want to talk with you next about some of these health benefits. Some of the health benefits that have been found is that when the relationship between mothers and adult daughters are close, there's decreases in depression, decreases in anxiety, decreases in stress. There's healthier behaviors of a daughter. Social engagements are more positive. And their overall well-being of the mother and the daughter, it's better. Mothers and daughters have a unique relationship. And not only a unique way of relating to one another, but mothers and daughters need one another. So there's another study that looked at these health benefits. And this study was done in the Harvard Women's Health Watch by Jean B. Miller and Irene Pierce Stiver. And what they found related to these health benefits was really interesting. They found that mothers transfer certain things to their daughters that have lifelong health impacts. Things such as mothers have a way of influencing how their daughters see themselves, their body images, how daughters see themselves in the world, their futures in the world, their growth and their development. Women, since the beginning of time, have had an integral and essential role in this society. Women have a way of speaking into others' lives that influence their growth, their development, giving them insights about who they are and who they are to become. So what this study also found was that mothers and daughters influence one another.
Now, I want you to pay attention to the relationship of a mother and daughter as adults versus children. Because what she's explaining about influence, we can all take some lessons from this and realize that at every stage in that relationship, from infancy to toddler to puberty, that influence wanes. And so we become less influential as the child grows older, right? So pay attention, please, to how she's speaking of this relationship and influence. And think about your own relationship with your mother and how influential was your mother as you got older.
in ways that are not like any other family relationship. And so in my family, I've come to learn that there is a significant bond between mothers and daughters from my family history. So, my family history that I have been aware of since I was a young child, an adolescent, young adult, and even still now, family members share things with me about mothers and daughters in my family. And I have knowledge and awareness of mother daughter adult relationships for over a 163-year period. 163 years. My great great grandmother, Mona Roseman, was born in 1860. And she had two children, a son and a daughter. And her daughter, Ada Roseman, is my grandmother's mother. My great great grandmother, Mona, and my great grandmother, Ada, passed down a lineage and a legacy of resiliency and strength to my grandmother, to my mother, who passed it down to me, who I'm passing down to my daughter, who is passing it down to her daughter. And what I have learned from my family, mothers and adult daughters, is that there are times where we clash. There are times where we come together. And no relationship is perfect. But we have learned, and I've learned, that we need one another. Mothers and daughters need one another in ways that sometimes they don't even know. When a daughter leaves home for the first time, goes off to college, joins the army, gets married, has her first child, often the tables turn. They begin to see each other as women, coming together as a united force in this world to help each other be successful. This bond that is developed between a mother and a daughter is what helps to unify them to be able to be successful in this world.
So I want to stop this talk at this point, um, because I hope that you see the uniqueness of the relationship that this woman is talking about. She went to the military. Her parents forced her to go into the military. And the relationship she had with her mother and her grandmother and her great grandmother is so unique to me that it's probably like not like any other person you might even meet. But then again, maybe it is. I want to suggest to us tonight that the stages of the relationship that a mother has with her daughter, we should pay attention to in terms of how close are you getting spiritually to your creator? How close is that daughter learning to connect to, draw to, talk to her creator versus mother? Because something happens as the peer groups come in. Who are these girls listening to? As a daughter myself, I was listening more and looking at my relationships with my peers more than I was looking for a relationship with my mother. Of course, my mother was an alcoholic, so the relationship was very dysfunctional. And it wasn't until I got much older that I appreciated the lessons that an addicted mother can give you. But in that moment, You want to stay away from parents who have addictions and who are not healthy. As this woman described, healthy relationships can be very nurturing and shaping you to become the woman you are. But let's just think about what a mother's influence is from birth to whenever your peers start coming in and the boys start showing up. So, as a mother with an adult child, daughter, I want us to think about tonight what is the most important relationship in that child's life once they become an adult? Is it you or is it their creator? Is it a partnership they need with a spiritual experience, learning to look at nature, learning to develop relationships with friends, learning how to trust, how not to trust, learning how to set boundaries with people in your life? And mothers cannot always be influential in those areas, boundaries, relationships. But what we can do, and what this woman who I heard about um, last week can do, is pay attention to your body's reactions or responses to what your adult children are doing. This is so key in you as a mother developing emotional intelligence, which is going to help your body to be strong and healthy. Because, for instance, if your adult child decides that they want to room with another man, a man they're not married to, they're not living in your house, and what is your response to something like that? Well, in my experience, you don't have a response unless they ask you for it. It's right, like mothers have to learn to not give their opinions about too much to our adult children because they really don't want to hear it. If they're doing something that's kind of questionable from their background, from their upbringing, they really don't want to hear mother's opinion. But if they come to you and say, Mom, I need your advice. Mom, I need your opinion. The door is open for a healthy relationship to continue or develop. Because if your child goes off, your daughter goes off to college, you don't have any contact with them physically for, say, 4 years even. They stay in that environment of college education for 4 years. They don't come home often, as in my case. I went to Madison, Wisconsin, and I really didn't see my mother after the first year. I didn't see my mother often at all because I even went to summer school in Madison. I rarely went home once I was in college. So my relationship with my mother was very distant when I turned from 18 years old on to into my adult life. My relationship with my mother was not very close. But previous to college, when I went through high school, it was mom every day. Mom had her addiction, and I had my friends. We were smoking weed, we were drinking, we were partying in high school, yes. And mom's influence wasn't there. But how many of you, I wonder, had a healthy mother relationship that was guiding you through high school and even through college and even through your marriage? Not happening, right? Most of us probably, unless you were very close to your mother as a child and through high school, you probably did not have a close relationship with that woman once you left that house. It was all about learning how to communicate, how to respond or react to other people other than your mother. So once a mother and her adult child, let's just say this child is 31 years old, and that child is not living with you, but they're in and out of your home, causing you stress of some kind. This is the situation that I was hearing about that the mother was very stressed over something going on in that daughter's life, 31 years old. And the mother was not able to disconnect from that stressful, challenging, conflicting relationship. So, guess what? Mom's health is starting to be affected by this relationship with this 31-year-old adult daughter. The first sign that there needs to be boundaries set or you need to distance yourself from your adult children is when your health is affected and you know it's from this relationship. Sometimes mothers will find themselves in an unhealthy state, symptoms that are causing them to slow down or taking medication or just feeling bad most of the time. Some women may not even realize that it has something to do with the relationship you're in with your daughter. Unless you have other relationships that are just as stressful and you're just totally confused about why you're not feeling well. But the first sign that the relationship between you and your adult child is not good, is not healthy, is not evolving, is not causing you to grow, is that your health fails. So I want all of us to consider the relationships, not just with our daughters, but with any person in your life that drains you. Vampire like relationships that they're draining you. You're not able to recover after you meet with that person. You have to go to bed. You have to have a drink. You have all these reactions that cause you to do things that not strengthen you, but weaken you. So, in the case of the woman we just heard, her relationship with her mother changed. And that meant she was taking care, she became a caretaker of her mother. So when we have a relationship where our mother gets ill and we become the caretaker, this is what happens when mom has not been flying first, loving herself. Sometimes moms just give so much, so much, so much to their children that they can't stop.
Sometimes moms just give so much, so much, so much to their children.
I don't know what happened there. That they can't. So my show. So that they drain themselves from the strength, the love that they need to give to themselves. So as an adult parent with an adult child, these are the things we need to consider or look at, especially as we're putting together this vegetable soup for women to nourish your body, mind, and finances. All the authors in this book project have been very conscious of the female out there that needs some motivation, the female out there that needs some assistance, the female that needs encouragement, and the female out there that is depressed or distressed. We're nourishing with this book, Vegetable Soup for Women, because there's so many stories that we hear. Women living in their cars, women living in their in tents, women living in vans, storage units. This is the state of our country right now. So that each one of us, as a mother even, should be looking at fly, first love yourself. This is not a time to be giving to your adult children. Now there has to be a distinction between minor children and adult children in cases like this. There are women sleeping in their cars with their young children, say 7-8-year-old children. There are women sleeping in storage units with their young teenagers, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. That's the dependent relationship that has to go on because that's what mothers do. And hopefully there are fathers involved. But when their father is absent, the mother is going to, you, if she's healthy, of a sane mind, healthy mind, she's going to carry that child wherever, in a storage unit, in a car, wherever. That mother is going to take care of that child. But once that child becomes an adult, and some children don't mature as fast as others, so you may see different types of relationships where, say, a 18, 19-year-old is still clinging to mom, helping mom, doing things with mom closely. But at some point, our creator needs to become their parent. The creator needs to become their source for hope and strength and finances and how to live their life. And how that happens is a result of parents teaching their children in those stages where they can influence them. That's the only time. They say from birth to 7 is when a parent is going to have the most influence, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. Happens between birth and 7. If you're training up that child from birth to 7, they will not depart from that training. So there's even a saying where the Jesuits have said, give me a child from birth to 7, and they'll be a Jesuit for the rest of their life. So that's probably a very true statement once if you've lived long enough to experience training in children and what happens after 7. It depends on your influence, your presence from birth to 7. And so many children are abused between those ages, birth to 7, neglected, given away, put up for adoption. All those things happen. And then the birth from 7 to adult, who knows what's going to happen? Addictions, suicides, all those things happen because those first 7 years are so important. So, moms out there, I want to really speak to you about understanding, understanding, overstanding the Creator's whole purpose in giving us this job as mother is to grow in our relationship, not only with ourselves and our children, but with our Creator. It's so important that we teach that to our children at a young age. And at this point, my job is to help my grandchildren understand when they're around and when they're open to it. They don't like to be lectured to. They don't like to hear grandma talk too much about wisdom. But at every opportunity, it's our job as mothers from 1 to birth to 7, and maybe a little in there, sprinkling a little bit in there from 7 to 4, 13, 14, 15, before their peers take over, to influence your experience, your wisdom, your knowledge, your teaching. After that, they're on their own. They're on their own with the spiritual guidance of the one who knit them together in the womb. The Creator, 9 months in the womb, that number 9 says it all. That's all about love, 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 love. The love and purpose of our Creator is in the number 9. No doubt in my mind. I've had 9 show up so many times. My oldest sister spent 9 months with me trying to overcome a breast disease. And that those 9 months, when I look back now, it's all about love and purpose to show me the importance of emotional intelligence or a lack of it. So for 9 months in the womb, that's all we get to really shower in the love and purpose and to understand the love and purpose. So this is just a few moments today to remind you of this new book, Vegetable Soup for Women, because women do need healing right now more than ever. Mama AZ, we were talking earlier about how women are really in trouble right now. I mean, women are really hurting all over the place. And so it's our job, those of us who are conscious, those of us who are mature and empathic, to just share what we've learned over these years, share with our sisters. And I'm sharing this with these mothers who are having conflict with their adult daughters. It's time to set boundaries and love yourself and let the little ducklings go off and have their own experience with life and with their relation, build their relationship with their creator. So moms, I know it can be challenging, it can be hard to let go, but that is what your purpose is at this at the stage of adult to adult, mother adult to child adult. It's your purpose is to let go, cut that apron string, and send that little duckling out there to do whatever it needs to do. It might mean homelessness. If mom doesn't have room for that child, that adult child to be in her space, then guess what? That adult child may need to sleep in their car for a while. And we have to kind of bite our tongue and get strong and say, heaven help them, heaven help them, heaven help them. Prayers of a mother are the most powerful energy you can do for your child, for your adult child, is pray for them and leave it alone. And then fly first, love yourself. That's my favorite algorithm or acronym. Fly, FLY. First, love yourself. When you're at an older age and you have a life purpose still on this planet, you're still doing things, and if your health begins to fail, then that's all the more reason to fly. First, love yourself and let your adult children find their way. You've already done your job. You've done your job. A 31-year-old daughter is on her own for the most part. If her father's not around and you're the only one around, it's time for you to cut the apron string. It's a hard lesson, but that child is in the hands of a bigger universe because that's why they're here to learn how to navigate this boot camp, we sometimes call it. Learn how to navigate the boot camp. So this is the sharing that I wanted to do today. And here comes the grandson. Hi. So he's part of my assignment. I'm so grateful. And he's still 9 years old. So I still have time to influence him a little bit. Sister's 11. She's kind of pre-teeny. Very little influence there, but I'm just grandma. But mothers, my two sons are 40 and 45 years old. And I got a rude awakening a few years ago that my influence was nil and gone. But I planted the seeds that I needed to plant. And so, moms, just remember, if your children are in their 30s, you planted your seed. You've already given them the lesson that they needed from you as the bearer in the womb. And that's all they need after 21, 20. That's all they needed from you, mom. And if they come to you and ask for advice or come to you for help, be ready and open to have that beautiful, healthy conversation with them. That's what it's all about. Mothers, daughters, adult children, don't let them take over your life. Don't let them put you in a stress that you can't get out of. Let those adult children know that you have a life and that you're here to take care of you first. At this age, as a senior citizen, baby boomer, it's time for you to take care of yourself, not these adult children. They got to go out, ducklings, out to the water, send them out, and then pray for them. And be ready to give advice when they ask for it. We stop giving advice to adult children at some point because they're not listening, they don't want to listen, and they don't really need our advice unless you ask for it. They need to hear the energy of love, the energy of purpose from the divine beings, the divine nature that brought them here on this planet. Because we're all here to evolve and learn how to love and learn how to share and learn how to grow. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I don't see any comments in the chat, so I'm going to go spend a little time with my grandchildren. They're back from wherever, and I just hope this has been helpful for you. Please share. Don't forget to like and share and to subscribe, because I'm increasing my YouTube shows as Spirit has guided me to. There's some days when Grandma is busy in the garden and then I don't have anything much to do other than work on my TED Talk I'm working on. And Spirit says, why don't you talk about mold and mildew? What, huh? So I did a whole show yesterday on mold and mildew and how you don't have to have it in a tiny house. And I've never had mildew or mold in 10 years of living in tiny houses with very little air conditioning. I've never had that problem. So if you're having that problem, check out my show from yesterday on how to have no mold and mildew in your tiny house. Doesn't have to be there. I've been there, done that, living a very fragrant life in a small space. Now, I want to always give a plug for my book, From Fear to Faith in the Master Design. This is, in my opinion, the best book on preventing disease, because this book was written originally over, let's see, it's over 20 years ago, and the creator gave me new information, the best book that you could read to prevent cancer or disease. And it's available on my website for $8 right now. You can get it as a PDF. And I learned something new today. I am going to start, I'm going to try and do an audio on YouTube. Some friend of mine told me that one way to do an audio for your book is to record it on YouTube and then offer it as a recording or a connection to that site after a fee or a small fee or whatever, and you can listen to it on your phone or at home on YouTube. So it'll be for a little bit less than the book, but this is your book to prevent disease and to overcome. I spent a good almost 2 hours listening to a medical doctor talk about all the ways that you can overcome breast disease if you've had chemo, radiation. And she was recommending two things that so many people are taking, and that's ivermectin and fenbendazole, I believe it is. And I don't mention those things in this book, but I am learning so much about the different tools that people are using to overcome their disease. And number one in my mind is emotional intelligence, because why is that? Energy, 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 energy. We are all energy beings. The world is full of energy. Energy in motion is emotion. And if you want to overcome any disease, you have to maintain an alkaline environment inside your body. And that happens, number one, when you pay attention to the emotions that you're holding on to, even from childhood. Fear, anger, resentment, hate, they're all acid emotions. And if you keep reacting with those emotions, then your body will be fertile for parasites, number one, and tumors. So we can overcome disease primarily by practicing emotional intelligence. And that's what I talk about in the book. The way to heal and overcome is to be mindful and aware of how you're responding to daughters, adult children, daughters, sons, brothers, whatever, children, and how you are processing those emotions, either with a walk in the park, hugging trees, my favorite thing to do, hugging trees, talking to a good friend who can listen, laughing over a glass of wine. Those are great ways to release the stress and the low frequency emotions. So that's what we do here at Viada's Tiny House Village. And I invite you to share. Please share this with your friends who have daughters, adult children, if they're struggling, now's the time to um, come out of the struggle and fly. First, love yourself. So, thank you all for being here tonight. I hope this has been helpful for you, and please share. And we will see you tomorrow is Thursday. I may do a show tomorrow. So be sure to subscribe so you can get a notice when I go live at any time. You never know when it's going to happen. I just hear voice, spirit, go do it, and I do it. So to all my yogi friends, namaste, sat nam, shalom, ashe, ashe, and we'll see you soon.